everyone, my name is Leah and this is a video about a telephone game for book covers. My friend Igor from Morena Kutija tagged me in, so I guess I'm starting my booktube career. So what is this challenge about? In short, it's about connecting the art and the look of the covers in general and presenting 10 books that somehow connect to each other. The last book Igor mentioned is The Priory of the Orange Tree from Samantha Shannon, so I'm gonna display it right here because it's not in my house right now, it's on my boyfriend's place. And so yeah, we're starting off with this book. I read this book in 2023 as I learned that Samantha Shannon was going to be one of the guests of honor at Speculative, a local science fiction and fantasy convention here in Zagreb. I decided I wanted to read it so I would be prepared for all her panels that I was meaning to attend. I was a little bit intimidated by its size, as most people are, and I don't think I've read any books as large as this one in a long time, so it was a little bit intimidating. But Samantha Shannon is a gorgeous, beautiful writer, very lovely person. I had a lot of fun on all her panels, and I also read her other book in the Roots of Chaos series called A Day of Fallen Night, and I warmly recommend both of them, especially if you like fantasy and strong female characters and action and beautiful storylines and everything else. I love this book very much. Okay. The thing I decided to connect to the next cover was a dragon, but it turns out I have the perfect cover that connects not only because of the dragon, but also because it's blue. So I'm gonna show you closer. It's of course the Dragon Keeper from Robin Hobb, and I'm gonna put it out here so I don't have to move my arms around very much. My mom got me this book when I was in high school from a library. The library was getting rid of some books, and you could have gone to like a special bookshelf and take a few books that are like a few dollars each, which is really cheap. So I got this book and I read it and I started reading it again. It was my favorite book for a while, like a few years, because I didn't read as much in high school, but I read this book and it was amazing, and I really like Robin Hobb's style. I love the story, I love the characters. The dragon's name was Sintara, which is so funny because my artist pseudonym is Sintaria, so I found that very funny. And I also really liked Alice as a character. I think her name was Alice, don't quote me on that because it's been a while since I read this book. I loved her character. She's like this dragon, what do you say? Dragon scientist? Dragon researcher? Dragon whatever. Anyways, amazing book, amazing trilogy that I only read the first book of, but I hope to change that in the future. I really want to start reading the Realm of the Elderlings. I said it correctly. The Realm of the Elder Rings series, which has like 16 books in the whole series, with 4 trilogies and one of the chronicles, which is like this one. Yeah, it's a lot of books, but I love Hobb's style and I love her characters, so I'm pretty sure I would love it. So it's on my TBR. Okay, next one on the list is Remina, and I connected these two covers because there's a city in the background, and Remina has like this whole city and planet in the background, which connects pretty well with the Dragon Keeper. I do not have the book at my place. It's my boyfriend's book. It's my favorite work from Junji Ito. I really love Remina and I love the story. I love the cosmic horror in it, and of course I love Junji Ito's illustrative style. He's an amazing illustrator, an amazing artist, and an amazing storyteller. He does have some goofy storylines and some goofy characters. Sometimes his stories get a little convoluted, but I really love how he expresses himself. I love how some of his stories are based on a simple idea and he just exaggerates that idea to extremes, and sometimes it's very scary, and I love his horror, and sometimes it's it's just funny. The illustrations are so disgusting, and he loves body horror. I love good body horror illustrations. I find them so interesting, and he's really a master of body horror, and I love how his mind manages to just use this one thing, one inspiration, and make something so grotesque out of it. It's amazing. You know, you have Uzumaki, you have Tomi, you have his short story collections, sure, but Remina has a great story, great characters, great message, has all the things I like about him as an author and about books in general in just like one single volume. So I really recommend it if you're looking for a story of his, or a good horror story in general, a good horror comic, and you want to get into that. Remina is the one to go with. Okay, to continue, we have Žena Muža from Dorya Dontsova, which is a Russian author, and I'm not sure if this book is available in English. Here's the cover, yeah. I connected the covers because they're both red. I read this book back in 2022. I picked it up randomly in a library because I saw the title, and the title is The Wife of My Husband, and there was this really... On the Creation edition, there's this really badass woman with a pistol on it, right? It's really cool, and I was like, oh my god, this is a Russian author. There's a cool cover. The title is amazing. I'm already intrigued. I thought this was gonna be an action-filled mafia story with so much at stake. And it was the complete opposite. It was so fun. This is one of the best, the funniest books I have ever read. I think of it as one of the really best books I've read in 2022. It's a little bit convoluted. There's a lot of plot points that go all over the place. So the main character is a middle-aged woman living with two mother-in-laws from two different husbands. She has 7 ex-husbands, and she has 2 kids or 3, I don't know. There's so many people living with her. And then the third mother-in-law comes to live with her, and she needs to actually get her ex-husband out of jail and prove he didn't murder someone. I think his other ex-wife. Super weird. Super funny, very original, love the humor, very Slavic. If you can read it on Russian or on Croatian, or if it's available somewhere in English or other languages, definitely it's really fun. It's really fun. Okay, next in line is science fiction, fantasy, and short stories edited by Andrew Erickson. I chose this cover and I chose this book because it has a woman with a gun on the cover. I found this short story collection in a bookstore. I was in a mood for short stories. I really love them. I love anthologies. I love short story collections. Of course, when I saw it and loved the cover, and I said, sure, I'm gonna give it a try. So I bought it, and it's also at my boyfriend's place, and it's a collection of very old school science fiction and fantasy stories, but from very prominent authors. There's the author of Conan. I know I read 2 or 3 stories about Conan in this book, and I was really surprised by how cool they are. I really was surprised by my own reaction to it, because I thought I wouldn't like them. You know, Conan is an action-packed story about a barbarian that fights people and animals and I don't know what not. But then again, when I was little, in every cartoon, there was a commercial for a Conan cartoon, and I think I never watched it. But every time I saw the commercial, I was like, I want to read that. I want to watch that. You know, he looks so cool. Even though I was surprised that I actually loved the stories about Conan, it shouldn't have been surprising to me, because ever since I saw Conan on the screen, I was like, yes, I love whatever's happening. I love the sword. I love the action. I love everything. Anyways, of course, this short story collection has some other works that I kind of forgot about. I forgot which ones are in the collection. I mean, if somebody asks me, I can find the book and I can write them down for you. But all in all, a very cool collection, and if you're into like old school short story collections that go all over the place with their themes and subjects and stories, this was a good collection. I really loved it. Since the science fiction and fantasy short stories has a girl on the cover, I decided to connect it with this cover. This is Plavi Dnevnik, in English, The Blue Diary from Alice Hoffman, of course. I think that's a girl on the cover. It's an illustration from Dante Gabriel Rossetti. What I like most about creation editions of Alice Hoffman's books are, first, they're an old algorithm edition. So usually like the algorithm editions are a hit or miss, but they're like old school and very retro, and they're sometimes hard to find nowadays. So this is one of the very pretty ones, and I'm just gonna put it here. So I found Hoffman also very randomly. Back in 2022 on Interliber, I was browsing through vendors and I was really disappointed at the prices of the books. They're really expensive and I didn't find anything that caught my attention and was interesting enough for me to buy it. But then we got to a very last pavilion and we were browsing through books and I found some old school, algorithm editions which caught my eye, and I was like, okay. And turns out they were pretty cheap. I was like, sure, why not? I'll take a chance. And turns out the Alice Hoffman books were very good and I really like her style. I love the covers. Here's the other ones I have. I definitely want to buy all of them, all that are translated to Croatian. There's 2 more if I'm correct. And she writes these very special, very unique contemporary novels, which I don't know which category I would put them in. I would say romance, but they deal with a lot of themes and they're a little bit all over the place, but in a good way, She really gives a lot of attention to her characters. They were really strong books and strong storylines. I love the characters. She has a very, I don't know how to say, a very soft style, and really enjoyed them thoroughly. And I really hope Blue Diary is going to offer me a similar experience. And I hope to get my hands on her other books so I can have them next to each other because they're really pretty. If you're into contemporary novels and want to try something different, I warmly recommend Alice Hoffman. I think it's gonna be a hit or miss depending on what you like. For me, it was definitely a hit and I love them very much, and I'm glad I have them on my bookshelves. Next in line we have If We Were Villains by Emma Rio. I chose this book to connect to the last one because of the blue accents. I really wanted to talk about this book because it's really fun. I'm gonna put the cover up here. So, If We Were Villains, and I'm not gonna say this title again, is a story about 7 friends, or 8, 7 friends that study, I think they're drama students that study Shakespeare specifically. It's a dark academia story. I love dark academia. I don't give it enough attention as I should because all the dark academia books I've read so far were really cool and I really loved them. This book is no exception to the rule. It's a great story. There's a lot of themes and ideas going around with it. It's not just a story about 7 friends and a murder of one. It's a story about friendship. It's a story about how you connect to your study. I got a little bit into it in my official review on Tumblr. I loved it so much that I actually decided to treat myself to the illustrated edition of this book I found in my local bookstore. I don't know if I'm gonna reread it soon. I do want to reread it because it's very cool and there's a lot of stuff hidden in the text, like foreshadowing, for example, and I really want to explore it again. But there's other books I have to read and I want to read, and my TBR is very extensive, so I'm gonna refrain from that. Next in line, we have The Betrayals by Bridget Collins, and I chose this book because of the gold metallic accents that If We Were Villains also has on its cover. I love the cover of The Betrayals. This is a first edition book, and I'm gonna show you something. I would say the cover without the, what is this? It has a name. I'm not gonna go into it. It's beautiful. Like, I'm obsessed. And the binding, the other book from Bridget Collins, and my favorite book of all times is also the same thing, like beautiful like that, gold accents, and it's blue, so they go together. I love it. I love it. Magnifique. Here's the cover, so I don't have to wave around the book. What do I have to say about this book? What don't I have to say about this book? What you have to know about me is that Bridget Collins is my favorite author, and I knew when I read The Binding, I knew I had to read her other books, and unfortunately the only other adult book she has was The Betrayals, and so I was like, oh no, I don't have any other books by her that are for adults that I could read. She has some children's stories, I think, if I understood correctly, but I don't think I would be very interested in that. She is writing another book. I know she's working on something, but I don't know when it's gonna get out. Anyways, The Betrayals, Dark Academia, I love her style. Like, Bridget Collins has such a beautiful writing style. I love it. She's very poetic. She has more than enough instances where I was like just lost in the sentences. It's just so beautiful. I love her writing so much. I love how she manages to surprise the reader. I'm very gullible. I do not know how to predict plot points, plot twists, or anything, or grand reveals. I know nothing. Nothing. And I don't want to know anything, you know? I don't want to know anything for foreshadowing. I don't want to know anything about nothing. Give me a book and just like give me the major idea about it, and that's it. I'm gonna read it, and I want the book to surprise me, and Bridget Collins does that amazingly. I think The Betrayals is more surprising than The Binding, but The Binding has a special place in my heart for many other reasons. Great read if you love Dark Academia and you like a slow-paced romance story. This is it. Like, I love slow burn. Give me 400 pages of pining and one kiss. I mean, okay, we can go further than that. If it's 400 pages, I want a little bit more, but I would rather read like a good slow burn that takes forever than instant love. This is a book made for me. Second to last book before the end of this video is Evil Roots: Killer Tales of the Botanical Gothic, and I decided to connect this book to the previous one because of its vegetations and plants and stuff. But the thing you have to know about this book is that it's a short story collection. It's a horror short story collection, and it features 14 short stories from very acclaimed authors. The stories are all from the late 19th or early 20th century. It has some really prominent names in this collection, like H.G. Wells, Arthur Conan Doyle, so the author of Sherlock Holmes, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and I needed to read her short story, The Yellow Wallpaper, in high school, and back then, I didn't have the appreciation for her writing as I do now. She has a short story in this collection which is called The Giant Wisteria. You can see she wrote it. Like, you can see the connection between The Yellow Wallpaper and that story. In general, what I wanted to say about this collection is that it was a very random find on an online bookstore. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it on my wish list and maybe one day I'm gonna get it. And sure enough, one day I did decide, like, might as well, order it. I'm ordering some other stuff. I'm ordering some other horror stuff, this would fit in perfectly into the order. So I got it, read it. This was my first book of 2024, and it was very cool, very good. I love old school short stories. I love modern short stories, but I also have a great deal of appreciation for old short stories, like the classic ones. I see the difference between how people wrote like 100 years ago and how they write now, and how much storytelling and books in general evolved over time. So it's very interesting to see from what it started. I mean, books didn't start being made in the 19th century, but what I'm trying to say is that you can see the style of authors change gradually over time, and it's very interesting to witness that, like, in real life and witness it through history. So yeah, this is a very unique short story collection because it's about plants and vegetation, and I think it's an overlooked category of horror in general. So yeah, if you're looking for something new and some other short stories with a relatively not well-known category of horror or not well read, I do recommend this collection. It does offer some hidden gems and I really liked it. So yeah, it's a good start of the 2024 year. So last but not least, this is the Slavic Supernatural, an anthology of Slavic-inspired speculative fiction by Striga Books and edited by Vesna, Kurilić and Antonija Mežnarić, my colleagues from Morina Kutija. And I chose this book because you can see that in the last cover there is a person who's probably dead. Can I say that on YouTube? Oh, you can see the hand is attached. It's like, so the hands on this collection belong to Morana, the goddess of winter and death. So I think it's a very cool connection. You see like a dead person on the last cover and now we have death with her hands. So, I mean, she's not death as in, the personification of death. She's like a goddess that is connected to death. This is a very cool collection, and I think somebody in this line of the telephone game probably mentioned it already, but I wanted to connect it to the last one. I was running out of ideas. I love a good Slavic fantasy, Slavic mythology story, so I was really, really excited to get this book and to read it. Really happy with this read, and it offers something new, something unique. If you want to read some short stories about Slavic mythology, see how it fits you, see what you want. If this is something you would maybe like, I would really recommend this book. So that's it. That's the whole video, and it's very long. I'm sorry, and I apologize for talking so much about these books because I tried to choose the books I liked or will read that I think I will like, and I wanted to also turn it into a more of a recommendation video, which goes to show the different genres I read and the different books I found were really cool and offer something new and something that I find beautiful. So yeah, I hope you found some cool books to read, judging from the covers and what I said about them. If you read any of those because of me, feel free to tell me in the comments, and I would love to hear what you thought about them. You can find my book accounts as Carica Ficus on both Instagram and Tumblr. I have a Substack too. I also have an art account that's called Sintaria here on YouTube and both on Instagram and Tumblr, so you can check me out if you want. I draw a lot of stuff when I have the time. And yeah, shout out to Bookworm Dreams, Christina and Maya, who started off with this challenge, and then Morina Kutija, who decided to respond to them. So I'm the last in line, and the thing is, I don't know any other booktube people, especially from Croatia, so I don't know who to tag. If you see this video and you want to participate, feel free, go ahead, tag me in it. I would love to see it. I love booktube videos, so tag me in it or give us a message or something. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, like, subscribe, and whatever else. Bye.